Hey, have you ever wished that VS Code could work like CodePen? So not only having, multiple files on screen at once like this, but also so you can have a live preview of your page that updates after every keystroke. Right? So you don't even have to save your changes. The preview should just update after every keystroke. And actually, probably instead of this layout, if you're like me, you would prefer this layout instead. I feel like this makes better use of the limited vertical screen space. But anyways, this works awesome for plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but what if you want to use something dynamic that needs to be compiled, like React? We can still have this cool split layout and preview screen, but for React, it won't update after every keystroke. Instead, it will update every time you save a change to a file. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get all of this set up. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first you need VS Code. If you don't already have it, you can just visit the official website, download it, and install it. Once we have VS Code, we just need an official extension that's created by, the authors of VS Code themselves, Microsoft. So if we go into this extensions area, the extension we need is named Live Preview. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I don't like to have, 100 different extensions, all from random authors. So the fact that this is officially from Microsoft, that just sits well with me. Anyways, once you have this extension, now anytime you open an HTML file, so let me show you that. If I open up my index.html file, right about here, we see a preview icon. Now if you click that, aha, there's the preview. So for example, I don't even need to save changes. As I'm editing this file, you can see it's getting updated in the preview in real time. Cool, so that's all it takes to get the live preview functionality, but now let's focus on the layout that we want, the CodePen, like 3, split editors. So let me save this file, let me close everything down and show you how this works. So from sort of an empty VS Code area, you can just right click and choose split left or split right. Cool, now over on this left hand side, let's just split this vertically. So, split down, click again and click split down. And then from here, you would just drag in the different, appropriate files. So like I would put my HTML file in this one, my CSS in this area, my JavaScript file down here. And then to get the preview, I would just, in the HTML tab, click this. There you go. So this is just like CodePen, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, your preview. If you wanted the other way, if you wanted the preview down at the bottom, let me show you how you would accomplish that. So when you have sort of an empty slate, just start by splitting up or down to create this. And then in the top one, you can just click split left. You get the idea. And then just drag the appropriate files, right? So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then I would want my preview. So the HTML, click this. Let me just drag that down into this area. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me resize the tabs in a way that makes sense. Cool, and there you have it. And this works not only for HTML and CSS, you can test it out, but it also works for JavaScript. So you can see down here, if I click this button, it increments it by 1. But if I change this, to use this line, to increment it by 2 each time, you can see 0. But if I click this, 2, 4, 6, 8, perfect. So again, you don't even need to save changes. It's a truly live preview after every keystroke. So while this is perfect for vanilla plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I also want to show you how you could use a similar setup for React.js. Before we jump into that though, let me show you a few more details about how this live preview area works. So first, let's talk about DevTools, because you might try to right click down here and say, hey, I can't get my context menu to open up DevTools. That's okay. Towards the right hand side, right about here, you can see this menu icon, and if you click that, one of the options is Open DevTools pane. Beautiful, and this is, just your typical Chrome DevTools. So you can see I have my console open. In my JavaScript, it's hard to fit all this on the screen at once, but I'm console logging the number. So each time I click this button, you see 12, 14, 16, 18. You get the idea. So this is your typical Chrome DevTools. Let me close that. I also want to point out that the live preview extension has, navigation history. So like I can visit separate pages, right? Visit our About page. And then I can use the back button in the preview browser to go back and forward. Finally, I want to show you how you could view this live preview in an actual standalone external browser. What if for some reason you really didn't want this integrated with VS Code, but you did want, the live update after every keystroke? So for example, here is standalone actual Google Chrome. What if I wanted to view my website here? Well, again, in that menu where you could click Open DevTools, you can also just click Open in Browser. So that'll open in your operating system's default browser, but you can see the address. You're free to click around, and this will update in real time. So like for example, if I edit my CSS for the heading level 1, right? So this is VS Code. Behind it, that's actual external Google Chrome. I can, change the font size to 3 rem or 2 rem or 1 rem. Perfect. I'm not even having to save the CSS file. It's a real live update after every keystroke. Cool. At this point, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, this is all well and good for plain vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but what about something that needs to be compiled, like React.js, for example? Well, to address that, look no further than the official documentation for the live preview extension. So from their own official GitHub page, they even say that this extension is most useful for projects where a server is not already created, e.g. not for apps using React, Angular, Vue, so on and so forth. To work with these, feel free to run simple browser show that is already built into VS Code. So on my desktop, I have another folder that's not just plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's using Vite and React. If you want to follow along with me, I've provided a GitHub link to all of this. In the description for this video, I'll include a link to this repo that I've created, but there's the plain HTML folder that I've been working with so far in the video. You'll also find this O2 React folder. That's what I'm going to pull up right now and show you how this works. And just to be clear, there's nothing special or VS Code related about this folder. This is just a boilerplate quick React setup. Okay, so if you go ahead and open up that example React folder in VS Code, just open up your command line and run an npm install, and then run an npm run dev. So I'm just using a typical boilerplate Vite setup, but down here in the command line, that's going to give you a URL that you would visit in your browser. So just copy that into your clipboard, that URL. And now here's the cool part. In VS Code, use your command palette. So on Mac, that's Command-Shift-P. On Windows, I believe it's Control-Shift-P. But this area up here, just use the command that's called Simple Browser Show. So if you search for like Simple Browser, it should show up. When you press enter, now you can, enter in an address. So if I paste in my URL from my React local server, go ahead and press enter. Awesome. You don't even need an extension. This is just a built-in part of VS Code natively. So now I can just right-click anywhere up here, split left, and then, in this area, open up my JSX, my React file. And then if I wanted to, I could click, split up or down or left or right. And then down here, I could have like down here I could have my CSS file. Just drag them into place. Beautiful. Now this will not update after every keystroke. You will have to hit, Command S or Control S. But you can see as soon as I do that, beautiful. So that was JSX. If I want to change my CSS for the heading level 1, I can just put this to a blue. Hit save. You get the idea. At the end of the day, this is nothing revolutionary, right? It's not updating after every keystroke. You are having to hit save. But I think this is cool for having your entire development environment in just one application window. You're not having to tab alt between different programs. You're not having to, in your dock or in your start menu, flip back and forth between VS Code and Chrome. It's just sort of one convenient CodePen-ish type of environment. I love this. And just to prove that this is working, in addition to clicking the Click Me button, that's using React State, you can also go down to the very bottom. And in this example boilerplate code, I've actually set up React Router for you. So you can click on Visit Our About page and swap back and forth, and visit the home page back and forth. Then you can also use the previews back and forth history buttons up here. So this is a video just about VS Code workflow, but if you're looking for a really bare bones way to get started with React Router, then check out my example code, on the GitHub that we looked at just about a couple of minutes ago. Cool, and that is going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy my premium full-length courses over on Udemy. In the description for this video, you'll find a link to this page on my website with heavily discounted coupon codes for all of my courses. So whether you want to learn about PHP, WordPress, JavaScript, React, Node, CSS, Git, I've got you covered. Also, something exciting and new coming up. If you scroll down to the very bottom of this page, you'll see that I'm working on a new course. I'm not going to reveal exactly what's in this course, but I want to let you know that it's very big picture. It's all about building your confidence and starting a career in the web development field. It's going to be the biggest and most exciting course I've ever created. It's coming later this year. If you want to be notified as soon as the course actually does launch and receive a 50% off coupon, you can just enter your email here and get subscribed. I promise I don't ever send out spammy emails. I'm never going to sell your email address to anyone. It's literally just for me to announce new courses, maybe a couple of free YouTube tutorials every now and then. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you feel like you learned something. Stay tuned for more web development tutorials. Take care.